Welcome to bravesbirdsdfs. I'm Walter, and I have a question for you. Did we just witness, were we just privy to the best MVP season in the history of Major League Baseball? And I know what you're thinking. You're saying, Walter, baseball has been around for a very long time. Yes, they've been giving out MVP awards since 1931. And baseball is a very unique sport in that we give out two MVPs in baseball. And we do it for good reason. We know that in baseball, you have an American League and you have a National League. And before 20 years ago, before whenever they, introduced interleague play, we didn't American League and National League just barely played each other. It was like the World Series, and that is it. So now the AL and the NL play a lot more often. But back in the day when they didn't play at all, it just didn't make sense. It really wasn't fair. It would be like, trying to judge whether Patrick Mahomes, who's in the AFC, is better than, there's nobody comparable. Let's just say Jalen Hurts, in the NFC. So because the leagues didn't cross over, they had two different MVPs. So baseball is unique with that. But what made this year insane were both MVPs were unanimously voted the MVPs of their respective leagues. And that is so hard to do because people are haters. People are haters. Think about this. There are people that didn't vote for Ken Griffey Jr. for the Hall of Fame. There are people that didn't vote for Cal Ripken, Nolan Ryan, Tony Gwynn. Can you believe that? There was a voter that had a ballot and said, Nolan Ryan, all-time leader in strikeouts, over 300 wins, 324 to be exact, didn't do enough. So if you have people that didn't vote for Ken Griffey, that didn't vote for Tony Gwynn, that didn't vote for Cal Ripken, that didn't vote for Nolan Ryan, we know that the fact that in both leagues, both MVPs were unanimous, that says a lot. It's only happened one other time. And very interestingly, it was last year. Ohtani played for the Angels, and he was the MVP in the American League. And Ronald Acuna plays for the Braves, and he was the MVP in the National League. But before last year, it had never happened before. As a matter of fact, only 23 players, and 24 times because Ohtani's done it twice, only 23 players have ever been unanimous MVPs. But this year, something happened that has never happened before, and that was the unanimous MVPs played each other in the World Series. As a matter of fact, let's pull up my chart and we can look at, it's just rare for MVPs to play each other in the World Series. We can look back at the beginning of the Big Red Machine. You had Powell playing Johnny Bench. The Big Red Machine even though my mom's been one of the biggest Braves fans in the world now, back in the 70s when the Braves were terrible, she was actually a Reds fan. So 1975, once again, more Big Red Machine. You have Joe Morgan, probably one of my favorite announcers on ESPN back in the day. And then you have Fred Lynn. And then, yes, Joe Morgan, the late, great Joe Morgan, back-to-back MVP. Those Reds who won back-to-back World Series. They played Thurman Munson and the Yankees. And then in 1980, you have arguably, I'm not a Phillies fan, I'll let them duke it out, arguably the best Philly of all time, Mike Smith. And then you have Too Much Pine Tar on the bat, George Brett for the Royals. And then we got to go all the way down to 1988, and we have baseball's favorite snitch, Jose Canseco, going up against Kirk Gibson, the hobbled and legendary moment Kirk Gibson in the 1988 World Series. And then we went a long time without having MVPs play each other. We got to jump all the way 24 years into the future for Mr. Triple Crown, Miguel Cabrera of the Tigers playing Buster Posey of the Giants. And then once again, we went 12 more years, and then we had Ohtani playing Judge. So Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. If you haven't already subscribed, what do you think? Are these the two best MVP winners in the same season of all time? I'd like to know your comment. But otherwise, come back to Brave Birds DFS, one of the best places for sports.